Hello and welcome back to the channel. This is the fourth flight of the Phoenix 2400 and I've decided to switch in this flight from a 3S to a 4S LiPo setup. While the 3-cell provided longish flight times, I found it was just underpowered, especially during climbs and in windy conditions. So today I'm prioritising throttle authority and overall flight performance. I'm going to be running a 4-cell 4500 milliamp LiPo battery which fits well into the cockpit bay. However, the added forward weight has shifted the CG. I've placed two 10-gram counterweights to the rear of the elevator to restore proper balance. The airframe is still running the stock 1050 kV motor and 40 amp ESC, and according to specs both components support the 4S operation. The flight controller we're running is a SpeedyBee F405 wing and it's running INAV 8.0. I've made some finer PID tuning changes since the last flight. P gain has been slightly reduced to limit overshoot and oscillation. I gain has been increased to improve heading and altitude hold under load. These tweaks should give smoother flight characteristics, especially with the added responsiveness of the 4-cell battery. Weather conditions today are mixed overcast with light southerly winds. I'll be launching into the wind, guided by a temporary windsock set up in the field. For satellite lock, I'm using a USB power bank to power the GPS while keeping the main LiPo disconnected. This will prevent unnecessary heat buildup in the Moonlight FPV camera during idle time. At this point, we're reading 27 satellites, which gives us solid GPS reliability for modes like return to home, position hold and navigation missions. All systems are green, pre-flight checks complete. Let's see how it handles the 4-cell battery. Auto launch active. Shake to wake. And we're off. Initial thoughts, it has taken off with the auto launch a lot easier, with a lot less throttle. Apologise too, I should have probably changed the voltage and shown overall volts. So we're just going to cruise around at this stage, half throttle at the moment, and it's cruising along at 65 kilometers an hour. Won't be doing anything too spectacular with this flight. Like I said, it's just going to be a flight that's testing out how this plane reacts and runs on 4-cell batteries. I find the 3-cell was a little bit underpowered, especially when you're confronted with a solid headwind. I just like that extra bit of power there to get yourself out of situations when the wind gets up. So currently just cruising around 85 meters altitude, do a quick auto level trim just to get things good. The P gain and the I gain adjustments feel a little bit better than previously. We just reach up to 103 meters now, just climbing a little bit. I'm not going to go much further because the limit is 120. Running angle mode at the moment. We'll go through a few different modes as well along the way here. And we might also do a bit of a test on the range too with the Moonlight camera at the same time. Nothing too dramatic. We can fly out over these fields here, which should give us close to a 2-kilometer range, I believe, before we reach the highway. So currently cruising at 54 k's an hour. just lower our height a little bit. I've just climbed a little bit too high there, so we'll just come back down below the 120 meter ceiling, and we'll stick on altitude hold now so that we can stay in at that altitude a bit easier. The capacity of this battery is only very similar to the 3-cell battery I was using. This is a 4500 milliamp battery. Previously was a 4200 milliamp 3-cell battery, so there shouldn't be any difference too much in flight times, just power. So we just climbed out to 1.5 kilometers there, and Moonlight camera's holding up really well. There's no signal dropouts or anything close to it yet. Just testing the cruise mode out currently, and cruising along 48, just under half throttle, or about half throttle, doing 56 kilometers an hour on the airspeed sensor. Just cut the throttle now as we fly over our field again. It's a beautiful plane to fly. Anyone thinking about buying this plane, it's a beautiful plane. Plenty of room for setting up a decent FPV unit with a flight controller. And at this stage I would recommend probably using a 4-cell battery as well instead of the 3, although the 3-cell does work too. I just think the 4-cell is going to get you up higher quicker than the 3-cell, and once you're up there you can cut the throttle and just glide how you want to glide. So we'll come down a bit lower here and we'll just do a bit of a cruise around the tops of the cane field here. Battery voltage at 3.82 volts, so we're down to roughly 74% battery. Still plenty there in the tank to keep going. 26 satellites up the very top left there, you can see, so we got plenty of good satellites. Good lock today, even though there's some cloud cover. We'll get some altitude back up into it again and see how far we can glide for a bit. We've got a headwind at the moment. We've just reached 104 meters again, just increase the altitude up, and we'll just drop the throttle now and just see what we can do with a bit of a glide. It's fairly flat. We need a bit of a hill to get a few thermals, I would think, but still glides quite nicely. So looking at the efficiency, I wouldn't say it's any better than the 3-cell. We are running currently 45% throttle. Well, now we're down to 0 if we just cut the throttle there. So it's showing 1.8 amps it's drawing. So most of that's coming from the Moonlight camera. When you disconnect that, it drops right down. So yeah, the Moonlight camera does suck nearly 2 amps. As you can see right at the moment, we've got no throttle going, so all that's working is servos and the Moonlight camera. So cruising along now, running around 9 amps. %65 battery. We'll just do another right hand bank around here again without any power. Yeah, 1.8 is about as low as you'll get. So have a look here, 22% throttle, it's showing 3.6, so we bump up to half throttle almost and we're up near 10 amps. So it's, I wouldn't say it's all that efficient when you're on power. So to get good flight time out of this plane, you were going to need a lot bigger battery than a 4,500 milliamp battery, I believe, especially the setup I've got here. And you're going to have to get some height and do a fair bit of gliding as well to lengthen your time in the air. As you can see, we're climbing at the moment with 74% throttle and we're showing 15.5 amps we're drawing, so that's considerable. I wouldn't say it's any more efficient, to be honest, than the 3-cell battery. It's just a bit more powerful. But saying that too, it is the first flight, so I am still learning the plane. Currently down to 3.6 volts. 56% battery, a 12-minute flight at this stage. Our 9 amps at half throttle, 8.7 at half throttle. So cut the throttle, we'll do a bit of a glide and see how far we can go here. Dropping speed, lose a bit of altitude to try and gain a bit of speed. And currently 45 kilometers an hour, speeding up a little bit, but our altitude is also losing. See if we can get back to the runway without any power. I think we can. Pretty much. We're only at 10 meters, so no point pushing it. And I don't think we'll continue for too much longer. There's no point. I've had a good feel for the plane. So we are down to 47% battery, 15-minute flight, so the 4,500 milliamp battery, if flown correctly, you'd probably get a half hour, I guess, but I don't know whether you would get much more than that. And now down to 3.5 volts, so being a LiPo battery, I'm kind of pushing it as it is now. I shouldn't be really going much lower than that because it is a lithium polymer battery, not a lithium ion, which can tolerate lower voltage levels. So we better not push it too much further. Just throwing it into loiter so I can bring it back in line of sight. Take my goggles off and fly it line of sight back in for landing. So like I said, this battery, I don't plan on using it. It's just a test battery. I prefer to use the lithium ion battery, so I've got one of those I'm making currently. That'll be a 4,200 4-cell lithium ion, so we will test that next and see how that goes. But ideally I want to look at probably getting something a much bigger battery, somewhere up near the 10,000 milliamp, and see how it goes. But that will have to be a 4-cell battery. It's not going to handle the extra weight, I don't believe, on 3 cells, especially if you enter gusty winds. So we're going to bank around to the right now. We'll bring it in for a landing and we'll go over all the stats once we land.
Cabin crew, prepare for landing, thank you. Thank you for flying with us today, and we wish you a pleasant onward journey. Goodbye.
So I've got the flight stats there up on the screen. Flight time of 18 minutes. Flight distance, we end up doing 16 kilometers. Maximum distance from home, 1.6 kilometers. Anything else, you can have a look, pause it and have a look yourself. We actually used nearly 2,300 milliamps out of the 4,500, so that's about halfway as well. So not as efficient as I'm hoping, but we're still working on the plane, so hopefully next flight we can better that time and stretch it out closer to the half hour at least with a 4,000 milliamp battery. That was a fantastic flight actually. That was quite windy up there. It took it well, did a bit of soaring. Beautiful plane to fly, really. I think I will run this on 4S. It does a lot better on the takeoff. There's a bit more grunt when it's powering out of its launch, and it just seems a little bit more power too to get you out of trouble if it ever happens, but this plane seems so stable. Another thing I've noticed too, the moonlight camera seems to be quite good. There's no dropouts, nothing at all, so we can test that a bit more and push that a bit more to the limits just to compare that with some of the other tests I've done. I mean, I'd expect this one to go further. It does have a lot more of an output. But all in all, this plane's lovely to fly. It's a dream to fly, really. It's having it up there. I'm going to look at making a battery. I'm not going to keep this one in here. I'd rather go the lithium ions, just for a little bit more. But that was a comfortable 15-minute flight with this battery. It's just an old 4,500 milliamp ZIP power battery, or ZOP power battery I've had for a while. It's a 45C discharge, so it's pretty suited for it, so I will probably use it here and there. But yeah, other than that, wonderful plane. I didn't bring my thermometer to test the motor and all that and the temperatures, but I can't see it being too stressful on it up there. It was only pulling 9 or 10 amps at the very most in that flight, so most of the time it was either gliding or it was sitting around the 6, 7, 8, 9 amps, so it's not going to stress it out. Alright guys, stay tuned. We'll do some more of this testing. We might try a moonlight range test a bit on it in coming time. We've got some rain coming again. And some nasty weather, so that won't be for a bit. But in the meantime, enjoy the hobby, fly when you can, build when you can, and keep with it. Enjoy. Till then guys, stay tuned and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.